welcome to TILÈ's very first ever interview. The podcast, this is called The Road to Feature, and we have here Tony Gapastione.
Good, close enough.
Yeah, let's go.
Gapastione or Gapastione, whatever you want to say.
I was going to try the Italian version, but I said, you know what, that might be too hard.
No, I appreciate it.
So how's it going, man? Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Out here in Oakland, in a nondescript building with no address on it. They were very clear, like, there's some things happening on the street. Don't worry, it's fine. I got here, I was like, hello. This is cool, man. Yeah. Congratulations on TILÈ.
Yeah.
Is it TILÈ or TILÈ?
It's TILÈ.
TILΗ.
And I made it up, so.
And this is your first.
Yeah. So there's no dictionary way to do it. We just make it.
Making words. Add into the.
BraveMakers. We're BraveMakers out here.
Come on.
Come on.
Okay. So I have this BraveMaker Academy where we train actors by making short films.
Yeah.
So acting classes are super important for actors, get in the rhythm and the technique of bringing a character to life. How do you break down a script? How do you bring these characters to life with meaningful choices, interesting choices, right? But if you never get to use those skills in front of a camera, then what are you doing, right? You're just in classes and you're shelling out lots of money.
Right.
So we tried to do something a little different where we said to these actors, we're gonna film you and we're gonna write original scripts and content for you. So
me as in you.
Me, yes, that's right. We as BraveMaker. But since Vicky was helping with wardrobe on one of those shorts, because I wanted to give actors the feeling of what it feels like to work with collaborators, Yeah. And I have had somebody else write one. So we're growing. We're bringing directors from LA to do, and we're just kind of growing this idea of acting classes can be more than just sitting in a room and doing scene work. So that's cool. So we've made about 4 short films so far. Awesome. One of them, the one that you helped, called Pill Me, turned out amazing. Some of them,
students.
They're all acting at different levels, and that's okay. And we don't have a ton of budget to make a ton of great stuff with sound design and coloring and music, so we do what we can. But some come out like great, and we submit them to film festivals and stuff. The one thing I'll say is every single short we make, though, does go on screen at our BraveMaker Film Fest. Awesome. So the actors can sit in a cool theater and see themselves on the silver screen and feel that sense of accomplishment. Oh
my God, there's so much to unpack with what you have. I mean, we could just go on talking about BraveMakers. We go on talking about the film festival.
We need some more C4 or whatever.
We have to see, get the energy flowing. but I really want to learn a little bit more. Let's take it a step back and talk about your experience in this filmmaking world. Where did you start? Did you always know that you wanted to, do a group like BraveMakers?
Since I was in the 4th grade, that's my story. I was in the Nutcracker. I was the Nutcracker, and my mom, who was a single mom at the time, used her bathrobe to make my costume. It was like super ragtag put together, but I just know from that experience, I was like, I really like this. I like the sense of performing. I like the sense of collaborating with other people. I didn't know back then how much freaking work and rejection would be a part of my life. But yeah, I've been acting for quite some time, 35-ish years. Moved here to the Bay, actually not to do acting stuff, was doing some other nonprofit type work. But long story short, through that time, I had some friends say, you should start making your own stuff, because I was complaining that I wasn't booking jobs. They're like, stop complaining, start making something, open your own opportunities. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, yes, you do. You're a storyteller. You have ideas, start writing them down. I was like, well, I don't like editing or running camera. Well, find people to do it. And so that's how it kind of happened. Started making films, started BraveMaker really with the intention to do good with our work. How can we tell stories that create social impact or that elevate, important issues like racial justice, LGBT rights, gender equity, mental health, suicide prevention, that kind of thing.
Awesome. How long has BraveMakers been going for?
We're in our almost in our 6th year right now. So we started in 2018. Yeah, so we've had 5 full years of doing a film festival every year. 2 of those years were online because of pandemic. But then we started a production company, the academy where we teach screenwriting and acting, And we do a lot of production work for small businesses, nonprofits, and help people make their shorts and features.
So yeah, well, you go ahead.
It's so awesome that you give students like the opportunity to like have hands-on experience because like people, I know people that have studied acting for like years, but they've never worked on a project. And I'm like, are they? It's just a hobby at that point.
You're so right. And here's the deal. There's so many different ways to be an actor, right? Some people, they never get a booking. It's just that that's true. If they're waiting on other people to give it to them, they just might never get a booking. But if you put yourself in a class and you invest in that class, that you can go, hey, I'm an actor. I might never actually be on set and have a role where I see myself on screen, but I am acting because I'm in these classes. But that can be a lot of money, and some people don't have all of that privilege to do so. And then people also need reels. They need proof when they're trying to get jobs. Like casting and producers, they want to see, have you done anything? So that was one small, like, could we fill that need for actors? And so that's, you know, a win for us. We're checking a box that they're getting training and they're getting some footage to see themselves.
So awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome. So tell us about the earlier years of BraveMakers. And in that 5-year time span, like what was different? What things did you learn, or how was that experience, like writing your own story and putting your own team together?
So I am a huge fan of Sundance Film Festival. I've been going since 2011, and
Really?
It's been kind of like my spiritual retreat or my film school.
Do you still go?
It's super inspiring, yeah.
You still go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have some space in my condo. Talk to me later if you want to know about it.
Let me know, I've never been. I think I was talking to Jake, I was like, I want to go to a
Honestly,
film festival.
Why I started BraveMaker was because I wanted to create something like the Sundance experience, because it's like nothing I've ever had in my life.
You know, you see films, and then they go up and discuss their experience of making the film, how they got there, and like they talk about their journey, and like these journeys are so tremendous sometimes and so like heartfelt, and it's just, you're like, oh wow, I can do that too. It's so touching.
It's exactly what happened to me in 2011. Went to Sundance. My very first film, I'm sitting in the Egyptian Theater on Main Street, which is the iconic marquee you see in every single Sundance commercial. I'm sitting there, the anticipation, and the popcorn. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Lights go down, and I watch this feature film by Shane Carruth. It was called Upstream Color. And I remember going, what am I watching? Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. I felt like something was happening in my body. Like the creativity just washed over me. Lights came up at the end, and I was speechless. And then I get to meet the filmmaker. The filmmaker comes up, and he's close, and he's answering questions, and then he says, I'll be in the lobby if you want to talk to me afterwards. And I'm like, hi, I'm Tony, I'm an actor, I would like to be a filmmaker. He's like shaking my hand, and I'm asking him questions, and he's even saying things like, well, I don't even know, I'm just doing it like anybody else. I'm like, what? It was like, humanizing.
Yeah, it makes it so like achievable feeling, like because these are real people. Like when you watch a movie otherwise, you're like, wow, it's like a dream,
Yeah.
And like when you see them at the Sundance Festival, it's like you can see the beginning to the end. It's insane.
That's awesome.
And it's expensive though. Yeah. That's the thing. Like the condo is expensive, the tickets are expensive, the food, it's Park City, it's snow, it's challenging, but it's so worth it. And if it wasn't for Sundance, I wouldn't be a filmmaker today. I would just still be acting and hoping someone else would make my dreams come true. And that's why I thought, I still try to get people to go to Sundance. I've been going, 12 years, whatever. But I thought, I'll create something in the Bay without the snow and a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
And a little bit shorter. So we do a 4-day film festival, kind of modeled off that same Sundance vibe. We look for filmmakers who have brave stories to tell and who hopefully are good, kind people who can add to the world in ways that are meaningful and impactful and share their stories. And
yeah, and I would say that's my favorite part too, is you see how much of themselves they're putting into these projects and like this entire experience, and like the fact that they've made it to Sundance is not just life-changing for us like being there, but for them for having made it, and like they have such long-term goals beyond it usually.
Because they're independent filmmakers, right? And that journey is crazy. It's fun. It's worth it. That's why we're all here.
Yeah.
So, well, real quick, what makes a film brave, right? Because when I look at that, I'm like, is my film Does it fit the category of being a brave maker? And I was wondering that. And
That's a good question. So we're on Film Freeway, like 90% of the film festivals across the world. Sundance is on there too. So when people submit to our film festival, there's obviously different categories. They could be, shorts or features, narratives, documentaries, whatever. But we're also looking for, those storytellers who've been historically marginalized, storytellers who have been told that they don't belong at the table. The table belongs to everybody, so let's make room for everybody, right? That's kind of what we're hoping to do. But there's also certain elements of stories that we're looking for too. Does it have behind the camera and in front of the camera a diverse representative of voices? Do I see stories that the culture needs to be talking about right now? Like one of our films on this past film festival is called Into the Spotlight, and it was an amazing documentary made in Dallas, Texas by a filmmaker named Thaddeus, who documented this group, a theater group of developmentally disabled adults and physically disabled adults putting on a show and them overcoming the obstacles to say, we deserve to be in the spotlight too. Gotcha. And it was emotional, it was real. There was characters who were transitioning gender, and there were characters who were grieving the loss of their spouse. And it was like, oh wow, this is brave, because it's also representative of disability culture and gender equity and trans rights. It was like, wow, it checked all the boxes for us, right? Then there's things like, there's short films like Bodies Will Tumble and Roll by a great filmmaker named Eli Vasquez. It was a short film about this BIPOC cheerleading team that goes into the woods, and it's kind of horror-y and thriller-y, but it's got a story that's relevant about race, but not all of the films have to have some sort of message. It could just really be like, it gets us, it's emotional, it's fun, or it's by a storyteller that we can tell has a brand that is moving into the future that we want to support. So it's always going to be subjective. We have about 15 people who watch films and rate them, and a small group of 4 or 5 of us who program them. Ultimately, I make all the decisions, but it really is a collective of going, this is what we should put out for our 4 days. And we have to turn a lot away because we don't have space or time to show all of them. We only get about 150-ish, and we can program about 60-ish.
And they're between shorts and features, you said?
Yeah, we do many shorts, like probably only 10 features in the 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot. I mean, going for Sundance, that's really cool.
Yeah. And Sundance gets something like 10,000 features.
Amount.
Yeah.
And they program 100? Yeah. 10,000 feature films.
Yeah.
And they're programming 100. The odds are like under 3%, 2%. Yeah.
So let's. I'm always try to back us up a little bit because there's so much to cover in so little time. What is everything that Tony does then? Because you said you have 15 people who are looking at these films. Yeah. You have so you have that part of it, and then you're writing, directing, producing part of it. And you grew up as an actor in the 4th grade, give us
I'm in my 5th iteration of being cloned, just so you know. Okay. So like Vicky, who didn't get much sleep last night, I don't feel as if I have much time to sleep either. I have 3 kids, 1 wife, married almost 19 years. I'm almost 50, y'all. I'm pushing 50.
What?
Yes.
Boy looks young.
Yes, I got drinking vampire blood, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not making a ton of money. All these 15 people that are watching the films, I don't pay. They do it because they love film. We are a very volunteer-driven culture. I work 3 other freaking jobs besides BraveMaker to live and make ends meet in the Bay Area. I don't own a home yet. And I'm still grinding. Like I was in bed at 1 o'clock last night because I was rewriting a script. I have a feature film script I'm working on. Just got some notes from my connection in LA, blah, blah, blah. So I always tell people, like, oh, you do so much. I'm like, it's because I sacrifice other stuff, honestly. I'm never bored. I don't ever just lay around and go, oh, I have nothing to do. I have to make myself relax. Like on Saturdays, I try to take 1 day a week where I'm like, I don't do anything. I do have to work on Sundays sometimes for my job. But Saturdays, I try to go, just hang. My kids are getting older, so they need us, me and my wife, less and less.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge to have a balance of self-care and to be mentally, stable in this industry, because you're constantly, I was telling Jake behind the camera over there, I have a gig in Philadelphia next week, and I'm like, I get home on Thursday morning on a red eye, and I had all Thursday off and all Friday off. I was like, yes. And then I just got a booking to production manage this commercial coming up from LA, and it pays great. On Thursday afternoon, I have to do a scout and work a 12-hour day on Friday.
Ooh, here we
but
go.
I'm like, I have to, because that is going to pay for our spring break trip that we want to do with our kids to go look at colleges. So,
do you think or hope or know that you've inspired your children in some way in this field?
Yeah, I often think about a lot of people grow up trying to be practical or being told they should be practical, go to school, get your bubble, your degrees because you need to provide for your future. And me and my wife are very on the same page with this. College isn't always for everybody, number one. There's a lot of different ways you can go into making a way for a job for you. Do what you love. Make your work something you love. That's what I think my kids are getting from me. I really do love my work. It's work. I'm exhausted at times and definitely frustrated with all the no's and the ghostings that happen. But I hope and think they're getting, oh yeah, I can do creative things. I can do practical things. Just do something you love so that work is enjoyable and you're not complaining about it.
Right.
I have complaints, but I'm not like, oh, my job sucks. No, I love it. I love it. It doesn't feel like work.
Right. I mean, that's why we're all here. I mean,
Yeah.
S3 in particular, I know she's pushing passions and extending into the comedy aspect and stuff like that. But
You're doing stand-up, right?
Yeah.
I need, for me personally, I feel like I need to surround myself around people who have that.
Run
Because there's
hard.
not a lot of people who we need to vibe, and then I need to if you need help with anything, let me know, this is what we need, because we're here in the Bay Area, and it's like, we're kind of disconnected in a way, but in so many different ways, we know that we have everything that we need if we could just reach out to each other.
Yeah, finding your crew, that's 50% of it. You get some good people to run with, and you need a good idea and concept and story and the follow through. But yeah, the people, honestly, sometimes break the project.
They make and break it.
Yeah. And so if you I'll work with somebody who's not super uber talented if they're super uber committed and they got the drive and the ambition. Like those people, I go, oh man, I'll run hard with you, and we'll work out the kinks along the way. And the talent can be taught and grown, and it can evolve, but that commitment and that drive, if it's not there, man, it's like a weight.
Yeah, for sure.
It pulls you down, pulls the project down.
For sure.
What do you think is a sign of someone who's really driven?
They don't just talk.
Right.
I unfortunately,
That's a big one.
It's a big one. I did my feature film I wrote it in 2020 during pandemic, and I filmed it in 2021. And I kind of felt like now it's 2023, so it's been 2 years, but I kind of feel as if I have friends who are still saying they're going to do a feature film and they haven't done a feature film yet. I know it's hard, but I'm like, y'all, I went into production with 30% of my budget. Our budget was only $80,000, but that's not a lot. I convinced, not manipulated, but convinced our crew and team to go into production to do it, because I was like, if we don't do it, y'all, we're never gonna do it. So I know this is hard. I know we have to volunteer and suck it up. I know we're not gonna have the best craft services the best lunches, but we will make a movie together. Are you in? And people were like, we can't wait. Everybody made a great movie. We won CineQuest Audience Award. We got distribution. It's because we were all willing. And the money came the second week of production from a college friend of mine.
Nice.
Who ended up funding the rest of the film for us, because she saw us being serious.
Right.
She saw, they are going to do it.
So you didn't even have all the money?
No.
And you just convinced everybody, hey, this is...
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
People volunteering their time. Can we do it? It's going to be a sacrifice. We only had 13 days to do the feature film.
Yeah.
People don't know how to make a decision unless everything's laid out for them.
Yeah.
They get anxious, they get in their heads, and when you're like, we already have everything, they believe in it more.
Yeah.
You have to believe in it more than anyone for people to follow.
And you have to see it. So I think a good visionary creative person can see it and go, it's going, it sounds like manifesting, but I think it's fine. Yeah. It's gonna happen. Yeah. And so the red flags for me are people who are constantly negative, constantly poo-pooing ideas, constantly pushing back, constantly not following up. You know, anytime I meet new volunteers or new potential collaborators, a lot of people go, can you pay me? Do you have paid gigs? I'm like, no, I don't. But if you want to come volunteer, let's start there. And then I'll see if you show up and you're committed as a volunteer once, twice, 3 times, then when the paid gigs come around, then I'm hiring you. Then I'm putting your name in the hat for those other gigs. Like I just got to hire 3 people on this LA gig.
Awesome.
Because I've worked with these people as volunteers. That feels great. So the sign that I'm looking for are people, and I'll even say to them sometimes, okay, I've given you the information, I'm not chasing you down now. Here's the date, here's the address. If you show up, awesome. If you don't, peace.
Because you don't have enough time.
I don't have enough time. And I did that too many, I was like constantly giving people second and third choices. I believe in second chances and being graceful. But if you blow up an opportunity more than once or twice, like that tells me your character is not grown enough. You're not mature enough for me to want to work with you yet. And there's 50 other people behind you in this business who will take your spot. This is a competitive business. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're never going to make it if you don't have that drive.
Because the chances, you may only have like 1 or 2 chances in like a 10-year period, maybe like longer than that.
Yeah.
You gotta be ready for when that window comes.
And this business is a relational business. It's a small town, you know? So if you get screwed by someone, you're not going to refer them. And if I might say, hey, anything I should be aware of? I saw you were working with this person. You go, oh yeah, they're great, they're amazing, you should definitely hire them. Okay, cool. But you would also tell me, hold back on that other person because they didn't turn up when I needed them. Right.
And so what is the name of the feature again?
Last Chance Charlene.
Last Chance Charlene.
Yeah.
Okay, so with Last Chance Charlene, let's talk a little bit. Let's go into the production. How many weeks did it take?
We had 13 days. We shot it. We started the first week of June though, so we did like 4 days, a couple days off, 3 days, couple days off. So we did it in the span, basically in the month of June.
Where'd you shoot?
In Redwood City, all in Redwood City. One scene we did in San Mateo at a cemetery, but all in Redwood City because I had access to tons of places for free. I only paid 1 location fee, and that was the cemetery in San Mateo for $100.
Nice.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right. How many people did you have, like crew, team?
We did have a lot of crew, and I think that was partly because there was a lot of excitement, like, oh, BraveMaker is doing a feature film, and there was a lot of people who wanted to be on set because they wanted to be on a feature, and that was cool. And we did have a lot of kind of intern level people. And I will say, I made a whole document of things I could share if you ever do a feature film when you want, that I learned that I just wouldn't ever do again, is sometimes too many people isn't good. Big crews can be challenging, right?
Hard to wrangle that many people.
Hard to wrangle, expensive to feed. Because you're volunteering, but you still got to feed them, right? So sometimes you should say no to people just because it's better to be more intimate because you can control that better in the most healthy way.
Got it.
And there was a couple people who were like begging to be on set and then, would complain, would be sitting around, would be on their phone. Like if you're like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
If you're on the set of the feature film, like I was just on LA on this short film called Sweet Santa Barbara Brown. It was all people who had been on HBO's Winning Time show about the Lakers. There was never once where people were sitting around, like, because they were like 12-hour a day and we were moving and grooving because those are professionals.
Yeah.
If you bring people on who are learning, that's great. I just be really clear with them. And if they can't rise up to that, they're not ready to be there. And sometimes you need to tell them, hey, you're not ready. That's hard to hear, but you're not ready. And we're moving fast on this production. And, we mostly did 12-hour days, a few 10-hour days, 1 8-hour day, but one day we did have to do 14-hour days. That's tough. Nobody wants to work late and long like that. I could work 20 hours and be fine with it, But that one day, there was one person who was like just completely complaining and toxic about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I really am. Like, it wasn't our intention, but we had to push because we couldn't come back to this location. So you had to get everything filmed in that 1 14-hour span. And that person, I go, I'll just never work with that person again.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it for the toxicity. And when someone starts talking behind people's back and casting shadows and, just being like a moaner complainer, it brings people down.
Yeah.
And so cut that off. So that's what I've learned. Like, big crews are great if they hustle, if they work hard.
So
but
you
they
didn't
can
need
also,
the big crew,
no,
is what you're saying?
No, not that many.
And you brought people on. You didn't intend to have a big crew, but so many people were interested that you just brought people on, and then it ended up making it you had more weight on your shoulders.
Yep, because most times we here in the Bay Area especially, we have no budget or low budget, right? Like I told you, I didn't have enough budget, right? But I knew we could have enough to pay for food and do what we needed to do for the rentals and the equipment. But when people say, oh, I'll volunteer, I'll help out, I really want to be a PA, I really want to learn, I'm usually like the BraveMaker culture is, yes, come learn. But at a feature film level, I should have just cut it off at a certain, because my key department leaders, my key grip, my key PA, the director of photography, all of these key positions, they also need to manage the people under them as well. And if they're managing too much and doing too much shepherding and wrangling, that takes away from what they're supposed to be doing. And then it comes back to me like, Tony, I need to be able to do this. I need to be able to light a room. And there's times when I can talk to somebody, but if they're tripping over cords and knocking things down because they're not used to set, that's going to hold us back.
Yeah. So that was your biggest, and any other things that you wanted to have people prepared for, or any lessons?
I think any production that you're doing, be really clear about what the expectations are, what job descriptions are. At the level of low budget or no budget, sometimes we don't do legal, contracts and stuff, but at least do an email that has something about what time they're giving and what they're getting for that, even if it's volunteering. Like, hey, I'm going to email you, Vicky, if you're going to volunteer. And I don't even think I did this when you volunteered in our thing, right? It should be like, hey, you're coming for 4 hours. We start at 6, we end at 10. You're volunteering. You'll get your name in the credits. We'll have some snacks on set. And I'm going to CC the AD, just so it's accountable. I had people at one point.
That was the first one?
Yeah, it was the first one. I'm learning, right? But I've had people, I just say, hey, Jordan, you're going to come on Wednesday night. You want to volunteer? Great. Sometimes you just do that. It's a one-time thing. But if you're going to do a long deal, just be really clear so people aren't confused.
Right.
And when you get better and bigger budgets, then you can have a lawyer have a contract. So it's all in writing. Because sometimes people will say, well, you said you were going to give me this, or you said this was going to happen. I'm like, I didn't say that. Does anybody else have a witness that I said that? Well, put it in an email and you're good.
Yeah, that's what's tricky about working with people that you don't know, volunteering also. It's you don't know where they're coming from, what expectations. Me personally, the few projects I've put together, it's usually people I've known, I've worked with. Luckily, they've been small enough projects, so I don't need to call upon too many. And then I ask a lot of questions if it's someone I don't know. But it's hard to always gauge. You just have to take a chance. It's the whole business.
I mean, I've made that mistake too, actually. I've actually had finished a short film, and then I sent out the whole, I could use your likeness thing, afterwards. And then this dude was like, I'm not going to sign it, I think you're going to do some big things. And when it comes out, that's why you have lawyers and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, well. I was like, well, whatever, let's get there first and then we'll figure it out later.
I didn't sign any contract yet to be on camera, so.
You did it, I know.
I don't know if I'm going to sign off on this. I got to see it first cut. Final cut, final proof.
Here we go.
No, that's a good learning lesson. It's true. It's true. And for a one-day thing, take risks, right? But if you're getting in that bed with a long-term commitment with someone, I'm asking for references now and stuff. I'm going to work with someone, let me see other projects you did. Let me call that person. How were they on set? Because if I get some negative feedback, I'm like, I don't know if I want that,
Good vibes only.
Yeah,
good
for
vibes
real.
only.
Yeah, you could be a talented person, but if you're a jerk, then I'm out.
Yeah, it only takes one person to just spread COVID or something.
You had to say that word, Jordan.
I know, shit, that's taboo. No, I think this has been good. I know we're going over on your time. We want to be respectful of your time and your day. So to finish this off, I want to ask you a question to finish it off. What keeps you going? What keeps you going?
I think creating and storytelling is in our DNA as human beings. And I think for me, it just is a satisfying part of my identity. I know when I'm not creating, when I'm not engaging in making things with people and collaborating and putting something out into the world to bring hope, to bring laughter, bring meaning. Like our stories help people process death. That's what my film Last Chance Charlene was about. Our films help people keep going on so they don't want to take their lives. Our films help people feel seen and represented if they're an LGBT person. Like that kind of thing is what keeps me going. I really have a personal satisfaction with what I'm doing, and I believe the good of art makes the world better. So those two things.
Beautiful. And we'll end it on that note.
Yeah.
There you have it. We have Tony Gapastione.
You said it a different way. It's fine.
I tried.
That's all good. You're going to Italy. One more time. With every vowel. Try it again.
Let's try it again. Go ahead. You got
okay.
to tell me first.
Tony Gapastione.
Tony Gapastione.
There we go. With those Italian
Here with us,
hands.
some BraveMakers, writer, producer, actor. He does it all. And where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find us at bravemaker.com on the web or on all the socials at bravemaker.org. And I'm at my name, Gapastione, Tony Gapastione. You'll find me. You just Google Tony Gap and it comes up.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you. We're out. Peace.
Stories are who we are. We are constantly expressing and finding meaning by retelling something that happened to us. We're talking about our childhood. We're talking about a movie that we saw. We're continually retelling in order to connect with each other.
I think through our stories, we're able to not only hear our own voice, but be able to get our voices reflected back to us. As we share our stories, more people start to share their stories, and we share the stories with each other. We're all growing together, learning together. Sharing your stories is the most important thing I think we can do.
When you express yourself authentically, you connect with others in the community. Your story has an impact on others if you share it in the most authentic way.
Welcome to the 2023 BraveMaker Film Festival.
To be a BraveMaker means to have courage, and you have to have courage to make a film. You have to have the trust in yourself, so anybody who's making a film is a BraveMaker.
To be a BraveMaker, it means that I'm surrounded by a community of people who are brave enough to tell stories that have been untold. Brave enough to tell stories to inform, to educate, to keep this world moving in a more progressive place.
So this is Nader.
And this is what he's written. I'm reading on his behalf. My film is faith. When I was making the film throughout the process, I kept saying 3 words: I am able. And since we are at the BraveMaker Festival, I want to be brave and say these 3 words in the microphone with my own voice.
Caitlin Durkin!
Trust that whatever your vision is, even if no one else can see it, is right.
The thing that has the history to subvert the industry is independent film.
Being part of the change where we see more stories of people that are not as represented, people that haven't even been paid attention to, that's what being a BraveMaker means to me.
It's not about what you get at the end of your journey, but it's about who you become in the process. It's about the transformation and the growth that cultivates within you.
I believe stories can change the world. And brave stories are the ones that do it best, and we are those stories.
I am a BraveMaker.
I am a BraveMaker.
Sen Tarikh Sen.
Yo soy un creador valiente.
I am a true BraveMaker.
I am a BraveMaker.
We are BraveMakers.